Welcome to this Hackney Council Licensing Subcommittee A meeting. My name is Gareth Sykes. I'm the Governance Officer, and I will be introducing the meeting by briefly going through the remote meeting protocol. So the remote meeting protocol is as follows. Only speak when invited to by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand, and you could raise your hand by physically raising your hand, but there is also a raise hand function at the bottom of your screen in Google Meet as well. So you've got two options there in terms of raising your hand. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you're not speaking. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated time frame as set out in the hearing procedure at page 21 in the pack. No cross-examination will be accepted between interested parties in the meeting either. As I said, please refer all questions to the chair. If referring to any written submissions, please refer to the specific page number in the agenda pack. Any new evidence can only be submitted at the discretion of the chair and of the agreement of all parties. If you're having any technical difficulties, please use the chat function in Google Meet to alert the meeting, and hopefully Mario, who is here representing ICT, will be able to help you. Please do not use the chat function for putting any formal questions to the subcommittee. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in your removal from the meeting. And we've only got one application this evening, so once that application is finished, if those external parties could leave the meeting, and then so the legal officer and the councillors can sort of have a debrief and go through the decision. So that is the remote meeting protocol. So we will now go to the formal agenda, beginning with the election of a chair. Councillors, please. Councillor Ross.
Councillor Ross, would you like to propose the chair, please?
Yes, I'd like to propose Councillor Smythe, the chair.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Smith. I'll second Councillor Smith.
Thank you very much indeed, everyone, and welcome to today's Licensing Subcommittee A meeting. There's the agenda there, right there. Some of you will have this online, some of you will have it physically. I'm looking at the physical copy. On the inside sleeve, you'll see the agenda. And item 1 is the election of chair. But just before we start, we'll just go very briefly around the virtual room just to introduce ourselves. So I'm Councillor Smith, Chair of Licensing, and also a councillor in Stoke Newington Ward. Councillor Patrick.
I'm Councillor Sharon Patrick, and I'm a councillor in Kings Park Ward.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Councillor Ross.
I'm Councillor Midnight Ross, and I represent Haggerston Ward.
Fantastic, great. And we've got Amanda on the call.
Hello, good evening. My name is Amanda North. I'm a solicitor supporting members from legal services. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Suba?
Hi there, I'm Subhashri Ramana, Principal Licensing Officer, and I will be presenting the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Channing?
Hi, I'm Channing Riviere, Principal Licensing Officer and acting as the licensing officer.
And then we've got Mr. Luke. What's your second name, Luke?
It's Elford, sir. ELFORD.
Yeah, thank you for that, Elford. So, Luke, you're going to be representing the applicant, yeah?
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Luke Elford from John Gaunton Partners, and I'm here this evening representing Hoppers Restaurants Limited. I have with me Brendan Kelly. Brendan, do you want to just flick your camera on and say hello?
Good evening, everybody. I'm not sure if
Hi there. Hi there, Brendan. Can you just tell us who you are?
I'm the head of projects for JKS Restaurants, and Hoppers is one of the brands that we oversee.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we've got Mario on the call. Mario is our IT expert, so thank you, Mario, for all you do. And then we have an observer today, one of our senior legal officers, Christine, is just observing the meeting. I don't know, Christine, do you want to just come in and briefly introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Christine Stevenson, and I'm a solicitor, and I'm just observing tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you, everyone, for your introductions. And we shall just move on to the agenda now. So agenda item 1, election of chair, we've done that. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence, none received for this meeting. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest or interest to declare? So you're both shaking your head. Thank you very much. That's great. Agenda item 4 is minutes of previous meeting, and there are no minutes that have been submitted for approval today. So we'll move swiftly on to agenda item 5, which is the licensing subcommittee hearing procedure. So we'll just very briefly run through what we do, and you're probably, I mean, Mr. Elford, you know exactly what we're about, but I'll just run through it quickly anyway for Brendan. So Brendan, step 1 is the appointment of chair. Step 2 is the licensing officer, the principal licensing officer will outline the report, which will be 5 minutes. Then the step 3 is the applicant will present their case in support of the application, and that's 5 minutes. Step 4, responsible authorities will come in with their submission, and in this case it'll be the licensing team, because environmental health protection enforcement have withdrawn agreed conditions at 8.1 in the pack. Planning, there's an informative there. Police have withdrawn because they've agreed conditions at 8.1 as well. There are no other persons, so the only ones left is licensing. And then we move on to step 5, other persons. There are none, as I've said before. Step 6 is discussion, which takes place over 15 minutes. Step 7, closing remarks. Step 8, final clarification. And then we'll move to ask everyone to leave, and we'll just consider the case. You will find out by phone tomorrow or written within 5 working days. Great. So I think we shall move on to step 2. And I would like to invite the Principal Licensing Officer, Suba, to outline the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So this evening, the application we are going to consider is for a premises license under Section 17 of the Licensing Act for Hoppers Restaurant, Unit A1 and A2, Montacute Yards, 183 to 184 Shoreditch High Street. The application is seeking for recorded music and late night refreshment from 2300 to midnight, Friday and Saturday, and to authorize the supply of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises from 10 to 2300, Sunday to Thursday, and from 10 to midnight, Friday and Saturday. We have received additional information from the applicant, and this document has been circulated. The representation is only from licensing, and I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that, Suba. I think we can move on, members, if you just nod at this stage. We'll just move on because I think it's fairly self-explanatory. Move on to step 3, where the applicant will present their case in support of the application. Thank you. Mr. Elford.
Thank you, councillors. Good evening. I know that you value brevity, and I'm going to stick to my 5-minute time limit this evening, which you'll be pleased to hear. This is an application, as you've heard, for a new restaurant in the exciting Montacute Yards development in Shoreditch. Hoppers, for those of you who are not aware of the brand, is part of the JKS group of restaurants. The group is called JKS because those are the initials of the 3 siblings that founded the group, Joe, Karam and Sunaina. They are a multi-award-winning restaurant group behind the likes of Bao, Gymkhana, Brigadiers and many, many other brands. Several of their sites hold Michelin stars, and some, in fact, hold multiple Michelin stars, which is very, very rare indeed. Hoppers is the group's Sri Lankan concept, and we have other sites in Soho, Marylebone and King's Cross. It's an extremely popular food-led concept, and there's a copy of the menu within your agenda papers. We've been chosen by the developers of Montacute Yards to be one of their anchor tenants. We made our application and we received some objections, and as Councillor Smith has pointed out, we've resolved all but one of those objections. Swapped emails with your licensing officer, and he has very fairly said that he doesn't feel that the application is contentious, and I hope that you won't either. However, the application is in your Shoreditch special policy area, and I therefore have to satisfy you in accordance with LP 10 before even moving on to anything else. So in terms of cumulative impact, there are just 5 points that I wish to make. The first of those is that Hoppers, and indeed the entire JKS group of companies, have extensive experience operating in cumulative impact areas. They've been granted new licenses in Soho, which is the most jealously guarded cumulative impact area in the country. Lots of sites in cumulative impact areas around London. They know what it takes to operate a business in those zones and what the expectations are. Secondly, they have experience of operating in your special policy area. Just across the road from this site is Bow, and Bow is one of JKS's sister brands, and there've never been any issues at that site either. And that is my third point. JKS have not so much as had a crossed word with any local authority that they operate in. They've never been subject to any enforcement action whatsoever. They have an impeccable record. Fourthly, and in relation to cumulative impact, this is a food-led business, and it is widely accepted that food-led businesses, restaurants, do not add to cumulative impact in the same way that bars and nightclubs and other late-night venues do. Hoppers is a restaurant and alcohol is sold, but it is ancillary to food. It's not somewhere that you go for a drink. So that end is bookings based. There is limited capacity for walk-ins, and the bar area within the restaurant is for pre and post dining and is tiny in the context of the premises as a whole. There is, to address it, a small outside area, and that is in a walled courtyard that is not overlooked by any residents. I visited it last night, and of course there are no residential objections to this application whatsoever. And just finally, councillors, at my 5 points, we have an extremely robust and well thought through schedule of conditions that have been tweaked and tailored with the assistance of your officers to where they are today. To summarise, there's everything in favour of granting this application and nothing against, that this operator is an exception to your policy. So I hope you're with me on that. Just couple of points, just briefly on the other two bits of your policy, LP3. We are seeking ever so slightly longer hours than LP3 on a Sunday night. We ask for that because we have found that more people like to stay out later on a Sunday, and we think that is because people tend to work from home on Mondays now. We hope that's not contentious. The other point is LP6, and we've asked for slightly later hours for our external area. As I mentioned, it's an extremely high-walled courtyard that's not overlooked by residents, so you're unlikely to find a spot locally that lends itself better than the courtyard we have for being used until that time. We have suggested that we won't seat additional customers after 10 p.m, so that would just be those that are finishing up from that point. And I think I've probably used my time, so I'm happy to deal with anything else that you feel is outstanding within your questions, but I do invite you to grant this licence to this exceptional operator and to welcome them again to Hackney.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Elford. That was 5 minutes and 28 seconds.
Oh, sorry, sir.
So well done there, pretty good. Okay, so that was great. I just want to invite members just to come in briefly if you have any points of clarification you'd like to make at this stage before the discussion point. Everyone happy just to move on? Yep, just nod. Midnight, I saw your hand up.
Yes, Chair, if you don't mind, I would just like to clarify the last point. It might be that I didn't hear correctly. Did you say in terms of the external area that you wouldn't be serving, or you're not proposing to serve additional customers after 10 p.m. in the...
That's correct, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Mr. Elford, for that. So that was step 3. Step 4 is responsible authorities, and so therefore I would like to invite Channing to come in. And Channing, if you could just address all the things that you put forward in your submission in relation to maybe off sales, external place times, LP6 and LP4 off sales, please.
Thank you, Chair. So you can see my representation at Appendix B2 of the report. Primarily, it addresses the fact that the premises is located in the special policy area, which has been mentioned by the applicant's representative. Secondly, just the small addition to the Sunday hours is outside of our core hours, LP3. And regarding the external area, again, LP6, this goes beyond our policy. We welcome the suggestion that customers will not be served or placed after 10 p.m. in that time. But again, the discretion for these decisions comes to the committee because it goes beyond what's outlined in our policy. There's been an agreement about the number of smokers, I believe, which is a maximum of 6 after 10 at night, and agreed with our noise pollution team. And the final point that just needs a bit of clarification is just how the premises intends to operate the delivery takeaway service, and what impact that may have, considering that the front entrance of the premises is along a red route. So just some clarification around that is what sort. Excuse me, but other than that, there's not much further for me to add, Chair. It's just these slight deviations from the policy that the committee would have to be minded to approve.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you very much for that. I just want to just show you this picture, Councillor Elford, just for a second. Is that where it is there? Can you see that? Is that where it is? Yeah, you're on mute. This is opposite Bow, or Bow as you call it.
Yes. There's a gateway to the left of it. Yeah, that is it. Yes.
Okay, cool. So what's above it? What's going to be above it?
Above it, sir, is Fora, the workspace.
Okay, so there's no residential above there, is there?
No, sir, no.
No, so there'll be no residential backing onto the courtyard. I presume the courtyard's at the back, yeah?
It's not actually at the back. It's to the left. It's where the entrance to Fora is. On that picture that you showed me, there's a gate, and that enters into the courtyard.
Right.
And the courtyard, I visited the courtyard last night. It's not a big space, and it's not overlooked by any residential properties. It's either overlooked by offices or Fora, the office space itself.
So that gate that you're talking about, it looks like there might be residential above there. Is that right?
No, that's offices, sir. I looked last night. I specifically looked out for residential.
There are offices there as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you walk through that alleyway down the back there, does the courtyard sort of go round to the right a little bit, or is it straight ahead?
It's straight ahead. It's effectively straight ahead through that alleyway.
Right.
It opens out a little bit, but not much, sort of double wide.
Right.
And
So,
then there's
I'm just trying to understand the footprint of the building, because obviously that building that we talked about, the new one, is not on the footprint of where the entrance to the little courtyard is. So what's going on there in terms of, how come they can use that courtyard is what I'm trying to say.
It's part of the whole Montacute Yards development. The courtyard is part of the larger development piece, and is part of my client's lease or agreement for lease.
Okay, so it's kind of is that because it's not represented in the maps as such? You mentioned it there just below, courtyard or whatever.
It is. We haven't shown the whole.
It's not really identified in terms of scale or whatever. It's just a word saying courtyard. So we're just trying to clarify, sort of, this external space essentially. Is this going to be part of the licensed premises?
No, it's not going to be part of the licensed premises, sir. It's going to be set out to tables and chairs and served to from the licensed premises.
Yeah. And would you need a separate license for that?
No, sir.
Because it's not on the pavement.
No, it's private land.
Yeah. Okay, members, do you have any points you want to come in with here on this one?
Although it's private land.
Yeah, you're on mute, Councillor Patrick.
Everything's private, but surely if it's not on the premises, then it can't be as a takeaway. Or if I've got that wrong. So any alcohol would be considered takeaway and would be affected by the takeaway regular conditions.
Yeah, did you hear that, Mr. Elford?
I did. It's we have applied for off sales, councillor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it'd be off sales rather than just on that. Off-sales are normally in sealed containers rather than bottles of wine on tables and glasses of wine.
Yep. I
Well-
think in condition 8 that you put forward, Mr. Elford, on page 54 of the pack, you do mention off sales in sealed containers and not to be consumed on or immediately outside the premises. And the courtyard
Yeah.
is directly outside the premises. This is kind of what we're trying to get at.
Yeah,
The sale takes place inside the premises. It's not an off sale. An off sale is where people take alcohol away.
no,
This is
No.
what Councillor Patrick's trying to get to the bottom of. This
No.
courtyard,
off-sales is any premises that's taken, off-sales is any alcohol taken outside the premises. So this courtyard, as it's not part of the premises, is off-sales. So it needs to be taken away and in sealed containers. We've had this before with another application. So your courtyard, because it's not part of the premises, is covered by the off-sales regulations rather than your private tables and chairs. So you should really have put that as part of the premises. It may be that we can't grant you won't be able to use it. You might need to put in a variation for that. I'm not sure. We need to check with our lawyers.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, Councillor, that you speak to your lawyer. It's not, in my submission, an off sale to serve alcohol to an external area. It is an off sale for alcohol to be sold for takeaway to people to take it away from the premises and go elsewhere.
But it's not the premises. You just told us it's not the premises.
But Councillor, your lawyer has
Councillor-
her hand up, so we'd like to hear from her.
yeah, Amanda, you've had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, so Mr. Elford, you're not planning for that courtyard to be in the edged red section of the premises at all, no? Sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, no, it's not. It's not in the red line.
Okay, so is that intentional?
Yes.
Or it is intentional? Okay, so what Councillor Patrick is saying is correct then, because I do understand what you're saying about an off sale being something you take away, but unless you've got a tables and chairs license outside, it is considered an off sale or something that they're going to be having outside of the premises.
Look, the alcohol is sold
Yeah,
where it is appropriated to the contract.
Yeah.
Yes. The alcohol is being sold inside the premises,
yes, we know that, yes.
so it's an on sale.
Yeah, it's on sale,
No.
but they're continuing it
Yeah,
outside.
but I think you're clutching at straws here, Mr. Elford.
Okay, look. Let's in fact let's do it like this then. If you ignore that, we'll make a variation. This premises is still a shell. If you don't believe that we've got what we need, and we need to amend the conditions, we'll happily do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, it's more common that outside courtyard should be part of the premises in terms of it being the edged red area. So
It-
then it's all covered. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we would normally do,
It
unless
can't be because we don't own it.
you don't own it.
See,
Okay.
that's the problem. That's
And
the
then-
problem.
And then,
that's
so
the
you've got consent to use it.
Yes.
You've got consent to use it, okay. But still, would you not be able to get consent because you've applied for this license to make that part of your licensed area?
It would be better. It would be better, Mr. Elford, if you could do it that way.
Unless you're saying you're going to have to get separate tables and chairs, I don't know.
We wouldn't have to get a tables and chairs license because it's not Hackney Council's land.
Okay,
No.
okay, private. Okay, I understand. Sorry. So, but it's just that normally there's some sort of conditioning for the outside area, you see. So I don't know if you're doing that or not, you see, to ensure that everything's
Can I just have a moment? I'm just going to have a look at these conditions because
okay.
this has come as somewhat of a curveball. I didn't understand this was something that was particularly an issue. Bear with me 2 seconds.
It's on page 58, I believe. No, page 50. Well, the ones that you submitted, page 54, the J, G, and P document. This one here, Mr. Elford. You can see it on the camera there. Look. Yeah. Page 54 of the pack mentions sealed containers. And I think Councillor Patrick's point is valid.
Yeah, it
Councillors,
says
can I just
in
point
sealed
you to
containers and
condition-
not to be consumed on or immediately outside the premises.
Right. And what does part B say, councillor?
To customers seated at tables outside the premises or any other area set aside for external dining. It's
There we
still
go.
off sales.
Yes, and we've applied for off sales, councillor.
I suppose the question, Mr. Elford, if you've applied for off sales, you need to essentially serve them in sealed containers in the courtyard.
No, that's so. I'm really sorry. That's not what the condition says. The condition
No.
says all sales for consumption off the premises shall either be in sealed containers and not to be consumed on or immediately outside the premises. Those are the ones that people would take away.
Or customers seated at tables, yeah.
Or to customers seated at tables, and they do not have to be in sealed containers. Do we get that now?
Yeah. No, we get that. We get that.
So this seems.
So, okay, the next question is how many tables outside then?
Chair, can I just interrupt? I think it might be helpful if Channing Riviera, the licensing officer, could explain a bit about this, or the off sales in respect of this, because I think that might help clarify the position. Thank you.
Go ahead, Channing.
Chair, I was just going to suggest that if this whole part of the external area thing is proving contentious, you can simply maybe add a bit of additional wording to just say that, you know, the sealed containers part of the condition doesn't apply to the external area they'll be using. That's on the premises.
Okay.
That's a-
What I was hoping that you were going to clarify, Channing, is that basically the off sales that has been applied for does apply to this courtyard area because it will be an off sale. But basically they don't have to have it in sealed containers. You know, so I don't know whether or not.
That's what the condition says.
That's what the condition says.
But it says for external dining. So this courtyard will be used for dining, yeah?
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
It's laid out to tables and chairs.
Yeah. And how many tables? It should have been on the map though, Mr. Elford. It's not on the.
They
It's not on the.
So they are on.
It's not on the. It's
They
not
are
on
on
the
the
plan. No, it's not, Mr. Elford. It's not on the plan. It is not on the plan. It just mentions the word courtyard. It doesn't. Is not represented on the plan.
I have a better. The problem we have here, sir, is that the plan, when it's been scanned in, has lost some
Channing,
resolution.
are you able to identify these tables and chairs on there, or are you able to help?
Because that's what we've got, Mr. Elford. There, look, that's what we can see. And the courtyard is not marked on there, apart from the word courtyard.
Yeah, I'm just opening the plan that I have. I don't.
I mean,
what I
we
think
don't want to labour the point. We just want to get it right.
Can I share my screen with you?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a better resolution plan. Can everyone see that?
No.
Okay. Let me share this.
Okay. That's
There.
we didn't get any of that at all.
Yeah. Well, that's a better resolution plan. The long and short of it is, councillors, is that the external area is part of the Montacute Yards development. It's set out to tables and chairs.
Yeah,
We will
Mr.
be
Elford,
making-
it's disappeared, that map. It's very important we see this, by the way. I know you know that.
That's
Can
it.
you blow
Thank you.
can you blow it up a bit, please?
Not
Right.
literally.
Okay, so that's much better than what we've got in our pack, because in our pack you can't see any of that at all. You know, and it's quite
That's very
important. So I'm counting there just briefly before. I know you want to come in, Mr. Elford, but 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, about 22 or 20, between 22 and 24 seats there. I mean,
Yeah,
tables rather, tables. In other words, so 40 odd people.
No, it's not.
No?
40 odd people.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. I mean, yeah, it's coming out at 40 on your
Okay.
diagram.
Well, that's what we've got.
Okay, so just one more question. Sorry about this. it says the capacity of the premises is 125.
Yep.
Does that include the courtyard as well? Because
No, it does
obviously,
not.
see, this is the problem. The courtyard is an anomaly to this license, and this is what we're trying to get to the bottom of, Mr. Elford. And we're happy to accommodate stuff, but we just want to get it right. That's all. We just want to get it right.
The capacity of the premises is
Yeah.
is the internal area.
Yeah.
If you wish to put a capacity personally, I don't think you can put a capacity on the outside area because it's not within the licensed area. But if
you
you
will be, the thing is, you will be using this for, you'll be using it for external dining. So in actual fact, although it's not sort of within the red line and defined as the premises license, it's outside of the premises license, isn't it?
Yes, it is, which is why we've included off sales to the external area.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not sitting well. Can you not tell at the moment? It's not sitting well with members.
I think
So we need to make it sit better, if that makes sense. If you can come up with some ideas to make it sit better, because what you're going to have then, you're going to have potentially 125 capacity inside and possibly another 40 odd outside. So it's sort of, and that increases the capacity not of the premises licensed venue, but of the sort of, the periphery, everything within that kind of curtilage increases to 160 odd. As to whether that's relevant or not, the fire brigade would have to make that call. But I'm just saying there's a bit of an anomaly there. Health and safety, right? You're saying 125, but it's actually going to be more than that if you include the 44 people outside.
Councillor, you're raising matters that have not been raised by any authority. So look, the external area is for diners. It's an area in a walled courtyard, a very high walled courtyard that is not overlooked by any residents. The capacity of the premises, the fire capacity is, as we've stated in the application, those people are all outside. They would not be included in that calculation.
No, but the fire brigade would want to know where they go in the event of a fire.
They'd go out the gate.
Yeah. So is there access from the back of the building into that courtyard?
Yes, there's 2 access points.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, these things are important, for public safety. Very important.
Very so. I entirely agree. And the fire service have not made any representation to this application.
No. Well, maybe they haven't been invited. Midnight.
No, they have been invited, sir. They were a statutory consultee.
Okay, good. Midnight.
Thank you, Chair. No, I just wanted to add in terms of, what the chair has said in regards to the outdoor space. It is just important that we're just aware and we can think upon this, especially because this is a special policy area. So we're thinking about the cumulative effect, and those additional kind of numbers outside is something we do need to think about as well. So aside from the points Councillor Smith raised in terms of the cumulative effect is really important because of the area that this is in.
Councillor, I completely understand. If you believe that diners outside a restaurant are going to add negatively to your cumulative impact zone, then that is a matter for you. We will say that this is an extremely well-run operation with an external area. We have experience of having external areas in cumulative impact zones, including large terraces. For example, our King's Cross premises. None of these areas have ever caused any problems whatsoever.
Yeah, I hear that, but I still feel. Look, there's a few things we need to get to the bottom of as well here, and that is this whole idea of the bar area, so people can have a drink before their table meal, and they can also have a drink in that area afterwards. Is that area, this hatched area I'm talking about, this area here, is that area going to contain seats? Because what we're trying to avoid here is a vertical drinking establishment. It's both a restaurant and a bar.
Yes, so it does contain seats, yes.
Because ultimately, we don't want people just rolling in off the street and then going into the bar here, and just because that would add to the cumulative impact in the area. You know, and also the conditions that you mentioned on page 56, I think it was. Let me just get to them a second.
Councillor, can I show you the plan again?
Yeah, I just want to run through these conditions because there's a few things going on here. There's the courtyard sort of potential issue. There's the entranceway from the public highway down to the courtyard and vice versa from the courtyard. Yeah, so people essentially could go in that way, couldn't they, and go into the courtyard and just hang out ultimately, right? People from the street could just hang out there.
Well, they could, sir, but the people that use the courtyard are going to be people using our external area or going into the fora workspace.
Yeah, but there is a bit of an issue there. So condition 2 is on this document here that you submitted.
Right, let me find the conditions.
53, supply of alcohol at the premises shall be to a person seated taking a substantial table meal there.
Yes.
And for consumption by such a person as ancillary to their meal.
Yes.
And then number 3 on this page 53, notwithstanding condition 3, which I think you mean in this condition 2, I think you mean, alcohol may be supplied and consumed prior to or following a meal in the bar area.
Yes.
Shown hatched blue on the plan. So
Yes.
what we're trying to avoid is that blue area on the plan becoming a vertical drinking establishment part of the premise.
No, that's absolutely fine. Let me show you the blue area on the plans without the hatching. Can you see it there?
Yes.
There's no space for people to stand up there, sir.
Okay, so it's all seated.
Yes.
So Councillor Patrick, you had your hand up. You might want to come in on this particular point about the bar area.
I understand that this bar area, I can understand what you want to do, that this bar area is for your patrons to have a drink perhaps while waiting for a table and to free up their table after they've eaten.
Yes, absolutely.
I wonder, yes, I understand what you're doing, we're not against that, but we are worried that it is to people use the bar area.
I can't hear you, Councillor.
You could think of an amendment. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I don't know why. Right, okay. I wonder whether we could tighten up condition, 10. Notwithstanding condition, other than the bar area shown on the plan, I wonder if we could put something about only for this is for only for patrons who will be taking a table meal or something like that. I'm not a legal expert. That's so that it's not you that there's no casual drinking there at all. It's only for customers about to take a meal or who've indulged in a meal.
Councillor, I completely understand your concerns, but if you turn to page 53, condition 3, that already does that.
Well, it says prior to or following a meal, basically.
So yes, people before they have a meal or after they have a meal.
Yeah. I think what Councillor Patrick is saying that she just wants it tightened a bit more. So a clear, basically a more clear condition to say that patrons are waiting for a table, can have a drink whilst they're waiting for their table. Basically.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda, did you grab that?
I think the condition says that anyway. But if you wish to tighten it up, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. It's just wording, really.
Yes.
It does mean the same thing, but it's just slightly more sort of obvious.
Could you repeat that again, please, Chair?
Yeah, just whilst they're waiting for a table, they can have a drink. The area can be used by patrons waiting for a table. So the bar, they can have a drink whilst they're waiting for their table to eat at. It looks something along those lines.
Or after their meal too, please, sir.
Yeah, and then after their meal. Because I suppose that part of the issue there is that obviously with the alcohol taken with a substantial table meal, we are clearly avoiding vertical drinking. Whereas the next condition sort of says, well, you know, you can come in and you can have a drink before you eat your meal and then after your meal. We just want to make sure that we're not, that bit is not going to become a bar. You know?
I mean, Councillor, I completely understand where you're coming from. I really do. I think that the conditions are clear and they're enforceable. Perhaps you'd like to ask your licensing officer about that. If you wanted to say that needed to be seated customers only, I think we would have to live with that. The area is laid out to tables and chairs, as you can see from the plans.
Well, that would be helpful, Mr. Elford, for sure. That suggestion.
So be it.
Amanda, did you get that? I mean, Mr. Elford, that's very nice of you to offer that, but I think it does make sense, particularly as there's lots of tables and chairs there anyway.
It does. So, you know, I haven't known people to drink more or less standing or seated. I don't think it makes any difference. But
could you repeat that amendment again, please?
Yeah, just drinks in the bar area to be seated. Midnight, I can see your hand.
Can I suggest this, Amanda? Sorry. Notwithstanding condition 3, alcohol may be supplied and supplied and consumed to seated customers only prior to or following a meal in the bar. Or I haven't got the wording. I think the council wants to tighten
That's it. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, okay. You've done it there, Mr. Elford.
I said use lawyers could find the words.
Okay. Just one more time, Mr. Elford, just for clarity. Notwithstanding.
Notwithstanding condition 3, alcohol may be supplied and consumed by seated customers prior to or following a meal in the bar area shown hatched blue on the plan.
Yeah, by seated customers only, I'd suggest.
Okay.
Okay.
Midnight, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Just it actually links quite nicely from that helpful suggestion, that helpful amendment there. I just wanted to confirm the number of seats that were at the bar. I did see a glance of your really helpful kind of plan there. Could you possibly just confirm the number of seats that are there? At the bar.
I think it's 25, counting from my plan that I have that's clearer, without the blue hatched area.
Yeah.
At the bar, 25.
No, in the blue hatched area.
Yeah.
Which is the area that we've designated as the bar area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many seats for eating, Mr. Elford, inside the premises? You know, there's 44 outside, but how many inside for eating? So we've got 25 seats in the blue hatched area, and then for eating in the other areas, how many?
It's very difficult to set one. I'm just going to count them now. Bear in mind that this is movable furniture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other point to make, sir, is that people can eat at the bar and they can eat in all those tables. These are not just tables for people to drink at. These are tables that have multi-use. But what we don't want is for people we want people to be able to have a drink before they dine and after they dine, particularly in that area.
Yeah. So what happens if those tables are all taken for eating? What happens then?
well, then we wouldn't be able to accommodate someone to have a drink before they start.
Okay.
We will have to manage where we place people.
Yeah.
And that is
So going back to
easily-
the original question, how many tables for eating apart from the bar area?
tables, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, seats. Because obviously we can't see that map that you've got there, Mr. Elford.
I make it about 75, sir.
Okay, so 75 seats inside, 25 at the bar. That's 100. And then you got 44 outside, which is not part of the premises. But you say your capacity is 125. So I'm getting a bit confused here. You've got 75 seats, 25 seats, 100, but your capacity is 125.
Yeah, so that's the fire capacity. That's taken from our fire
Right.
risk assessment. It's how
Okay.
many people we can safely get out.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Elford. Midnight.
Thanks. Just on that seating, just because we're on that topic right now, I noticed from the plan in terms of the basement that there's private dining there. Is the capacity there kind of additional then as well for private dining? So I think you're on mute at the moment.
That's part of the overall capacity, yes, the private dining room in the basement.
Okay.
And just on that point, Mr. Elford, when it says private dining, I presume that's bookings only, I presume.
Yes.
And how often do you think there would be bookings for the private dining area?
Hopefully constantly.
And how many seats in the private dining area?
By the looks of it, it seats 12 to 15.
Okay, so quite a smallish space then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very good to know. It's very helpful. Thank you for that.
And it's worth pointing out, sir, that alcohol would have to be ancillary to food in that area. This is not an area where people can just drink.
Is that would be the condition that we talked about in relation to ancillary to a meal that would apply to this area? Yeah, because this area is in the red zone, if you like.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Excellent. Perfect. Right then. Okay. So, members, do you have any questions? But I've got a few little things I can ask. If you want to come in, anybody, Councillor Patrick, Councillor Ross, any further little issues you want to raise? No, not at this point.
No, I think nothing at this point. I think we've established about size, the bar. Yeah. No standing. Only. I mean, yeah. And what happens if there's those tables and the bar area can also be used for food as well. So yeah, no, I think so. I think everything I've got questions about have been raised at the moment. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. It was mentioned that you're a restaurant, pretty much, and then in your submission it says recorded music for customers dining at the premises, which may or may not be above background level. I'm just wondering if we could maybe just pin that one down and just say that the music should be background, not, it may or may not be. It just seems a little bit loose. It kind of implies that something else is going to happen there, and something else that may happen there may be loud.
No, sir. It's that the reason for that condition is to protect us. Background music is a term of art. There is no actual definition of what background music is. If an officer comes in after 11 p.m. and decides that our music is too loud, that is to protect us. We are not a music-led premises. We do not have DJs. This is a restaurant.
Yeah. I suppose that the thing is, if you were a restaurant, you wouldn't really want particularly loud music anyway, would you?
We would like the recorded music as per our application. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has raised noise as an issue.
Yep. Charlie, do you want to come in on this in the wording for this? May or may not be above background level. Because that's just saying, Mr. Elf, you can have it whatever volume you like.
No, so sorry, I'm sorry, that's not true, because the conditions that we have proposed in terms of public nuisance say that no noise should be
Yes, they do.
generated that causes a nuisance.
Yep.
We've also said that we will keep all windows and doors closed after 10 p.m.
Yep.
except
Yep.
for immediate access and egress.
Yep. 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 I get that. So why do you want to keep this condition in then? I mean, it's the wording for this may or may not be background level.
That won't appear on the license, sir. That's a description.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's cleared that one up then. Thank you. I think that's. Oh yeah, the delivery management plan was the other element that you did send through. Thank you. I'd like to ask Channing. Have you had a look at that, Channing, and are you satisfied that that would work?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen that document yet.
Okay, so I think it was forwarded by the team earlier. I've got it here on my phone.
Additional information that was
Um,
submitted in the supplemental pack.
Could someone send that to Channing very quickly, please, if possible,
Yeah,
if you
I
can?
think it may be helpful if I could, if the committee if members are minded to approve the license, if I could refer to Mr. Elford, because I understand from their pack that there is a condition that says they will give drivers written instructions. So I'm quite
Yes.
satisfied with that condition.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole range of different things. Providing clear written instruction to delivery partners and delivery drivers to use their vehicles in a responsible manner, reminding delivery partners of how the premises is accessed and the inability of frontal access from Shoreditch High Street, asking delivery drivers not to leave their engines running whilst their vehicles are parked, etc. So it goes on and on. There's 11 there, Channing, 11 bits of
This was sent on the 8th of March to you, Channing.
utilising staff to
But
reinforce
Mr.
the
Elford, it was only published and submitted to members, a week before the hearing.
I mean, Channing,
Yes,
it-
it was sent to Channing on the 8th of March.
Oh,
yeah.
it was sent to
It-
Channing on the 8th. Oh, sorry, I do apologise. I didn't realise you meant that. Sorry.
it looks comprehensive to me, Channing. If members have had sight of it, members just nod if you've seen it and you think it's appropriate. It looks comprehensive, Channing, so I've got no issues with that at all, Mr. Elford. It looks very good and comprehensive, so thank you for that. That was it, really. I think, as far as I'm concerned, we've done the
Yeah.
private time. Yes.
I can refer you to the queries raised in Mr. Riviere's email, which is in the additional information. So I just wanted to make sure that you've covered those points, because I'm not sure if Mr. Elford addressed them in his representations.
Yeah.
We talked about regarding delivery drivers, the applicant needs to provide a bit more detail on the use of the New Inn Yard, Bateman Road, and will the riders have an allocated space? Would the applicant be willing to stop deliveries before closing time? And also, so Mr. Elford's already clarified there's no residential premises near the external courtyard. Is that correct, Mr. Elford?
Yes, that's correct.
And then whether or not the applicant would consider restricting the seating an hour before closing time. And
We've
also,
already confirmed that.
sorry?
We've already confirmed that we'll do that, not seat anyone additional outside after 10.
Okay, but does that
Yeah.
mean therefore you're closing the area at 10? Or
No.
Right, well, that's what I'm trying to say. So I think that talks more about closing the area at 10 rather than at 11. That's what I was just trying to clarify.
No, our application is to use that area until 11. We won't seat anyone in it after 10.
Okay, right. So so if those points can be just clarified, if there's anything else to add from Mr. Elford. You've seen the email dated 7th of March from Channing Riviere.
I have seen it. Look, councillors, in terms of deliveries, this is still the development is still being built and fit out. I visited last night. You cannot actually physically get round to the back of the premises currently because it is all hoarded off. What will happen, we envisage, and this will need to be fed down from the developer themselves, is that delivery riders will need to come into the rear road behind the premises where they will park up and come into the premises via our side door. They will not come in through the front door on Shoreditch High Street. They can't park their vehicles on the red route.
Yeah.
And we will, as per the delivery policy, we encourage delivery partners to only use non-motorized vehicles.
Yeah. It also says delivery supplied with and ancillary to food. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just
we're
to
not
clarify
selling
that.
alcohol without food
Yeah.
for delivery.
Excellent. Brilliant. Brilliant. I've got, I'm not sure which one came first. I'm going to go Councillor Patrick.
I think Councillor Ross was first, but are we going to talk about the hours for Sunday? Because it's after the core hours.
Yes, I think that all that Mr. Elford said so far is that they're asking to go up to 11, but obviously everything is at the discretion of members. Isn't that right, Mr. Elford? Yeah.
It is to an extent, yes.
Yes.
It's not been particularly challenged in any of the representation. We're asking for the extra 30 minutes on a Sunday because our experience across all of our sites, many of which have Michelin stars, is that people are coming out and they're staying out slightly later on Sundays than they traditionally would have done because people are working from home on Mondays. They now feel empowered to come out and have dinner later, and that is why we ask for the extra 30 minutes and the consistency across every day other than Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, this kind of leads a little bit to the opening hours of the premises are the same as the, on and off sale hours. Mr. Elford's, what we like to do is basically, half an hour after the alcohol sales stop is the closing time of the venue.
That doesn't work with restaurants because you pay at the end of your meal.
Okay, cool. Well, that's if you're happy with that, that's fine. Midnight.
Thanks, Chair. I had a question which actually Amanda helpfully raised as well about just going back to the parking. I know you said that you envision that drivers will come around to the back or to the side entrance. Is there a way to kind of stipulate that they do that rather than try to kind of hover or attempt even to try and come through the front entrance?
We can only give them instructions via our delivery policy. We cannot be held accountable for third parties.
So, but will that be in your written instructions to them to come to this?
Yes, it will be. The delivery policy is at an early stage. It's a working document. At the moment, because the development is not finished, we can't finalise the delivery policy. We also are waiting instructions from the landlord of Montacute Yards, because it may be that they have an overarching delivery policy for all of the units when this development is finished that we're going to have to fit in with.
Yeah. Okay. So just on the off sales, LP4, on a Friday and Saturday, you'd be going to midnight. And our policy is 2,300 hours. Would you be happy to go to LP4 on a Friday and Saturday, Mr. Elford?
For off sales?
Yeah.
Or no, so I think we'd like to retain the what we've asked for in the application. This is an exceptionally good operator. We don't have any issues at any of our sites. I know what your policy says. Policies, of course, are not a straitjacket, and it is permissible for you to depart from your policies where there are good reasons for that. We believe that we've supplied compelling reasons why we should be granted the later hours, and we ask you to grant them.
Okay, well, we know where you sit on that one. And then the other one was this outdoor space, you want to go until 11, and our policy is LP6, 2,200 hours. Any movement on that?
No, sir.
Okay, so now we know where you stand with that one.
We-
It was
what we
very
will
clear
do-
before. Yeah,
What
it was
what
very clear
will do
before,
with the
Mr. Elford.
external area, sir, is we will stop seating people in it at 10 o'clock. So from 10 onwards, it would only be people who were already there.
Yeah, that does definitely help with that one. So members, I think we can move off the discussion now and go to closing remarks. Amanda?
Yeah, sorry, Chair. I wanted to go back on a couple of points, if that's okay. I was just waiting. So I just wanted to clarify. With the, Mr. Elford, you've said that the closing and the alcohol sales are both at the same time on Fridays and Saturdays. And you're not prepared to reduce it by 30 minutes at all.
You don't have drinking up times in restaurants. This is a restaurant.
Yes, it is, but we normally reduce the alcohol hours by 30 minutes.
But how does that work, Amanda? If you're having a meal,
Yeah.
and you've ordered a bottle of wine, and you're drinking your bottle of wine, and then you go to leave the restaurant at say 5 to midnight, and you need to pay for your meal then.
The reason I'm raising it is because we haven't had any restaurants who have had the closing and the alcohol hours end at the same time. I'm only raising it. I mean, it's at the discretion of members, obviously, but I'm just asking you, we've not had any applications like this, so I'm just only asking, that's all.
Amanda, I represent restaurants up and down the country. Drinking up time is suitable for a bar or a pub. It's not suitable for a restaurant.
But what about your people in the bar area drinking after their meal?
If you wanted to say, well, it would be very difficult, madam, because the bar area is also going to be used by diners. It's not just for people who are drinking. The flexibility is for us to use the area for people before and after.
Are you saying it's because it's not about the service, it's about the actual payment? So you don't class. Yeah, I understand now. So you're saying that because you don't take the payment for the wine or whatever drink they've got until the end of the meal. That's when the sale occurs, rather than perhaps having been given a bottle of wine an hour or 2 hours beforehand.
Correct. We don't take payment up front for drinks like you would in a pub. We serve people their
understand
alcohol.
what you mean? Yeah. You're not the corner.
Well, my understanding is that after the meal, people can go into that bar area and just spend as long as they want there until closing time. Yeah, that's what they can do.
Yes. Which is not unusual, sir, for people to be able to have a drink after their meal in a restaurant.
Go to different restaurants.
It's not unusual. What is unusual is for them to get off their seat and go somewhere else for a drink. That's a bit unusual, because I think the people having a meal, they have their meal and they have their drink at the table and they leave the table and go out the front door. That's usual, but going to a different space within a restaurant for a drink is not typical, I wouldn't say.
I respectfully, sir, have to disagree with you. This is
well, maybe you go to different places than me.
This is something that's very common. I mean, we in all of our restaurants we have a small bar area where people drink before or after their meal, or indeed eating as well. The point is that we want people to come in and have meals with us, and if people are hanging around just having a drink, we would move them into the bar area so that we can reuse the table that they're on.
Yeah, it sounds like you want to do a bit of everything, frankly. You want people to have a meal at a table and then go to the bar and sit down and have a drink, even though there may not be any tables there. What happens to those people? As I said before, what happens if all those tables are taken in the bar and there's no room for people to sit down and drink? What happens then?
Chair, I think Channing has raised his hand more than once and he's not probably quite.
Yeah, sorry, Channing.
Sorry.
No, Chair, I was just going to say that with regards to the stop of alcohol sales time and the closing time, I think in this instance with the overall hours sort, I don't think it would be too contentious or unusual for food-led businesses, Chair.
Yeah, thank you for that. And midnight.
Thanks. I just wanted to clarify, but Challenge just made a point there, but I was going to clarify in terms of, I understand that the sale itself could happen, up until closing, for example, but if someone asks for an alcoholic drink near to closing, would that be served still, or a request for alcohol, do they stop prior, like half an hour or so prior to the closure of the premises?
So we will manage it. The bar space is for people pre or post their meal, and we use its turntable. So we get them off. We do a last call in that area when the kitchen closes.
Okay.
So there will be a rundown time, but the reason that we need to have the sale of alcohol until the end is the point that I made about the bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
What time is what time does your kitchen close?
Brendan, can I borrow you for a moment? What time would the kitchen normally close? The last service of food.
Just to get an idea.
It does depend, obviously, on the restaurant. I would say if we're saying that the last reservation would probably be in around 9:45, let's say 10 p.m. The kitchen would close 10:30, maximum 11. Same thing with drinks orders. If we have people coming in, and again, this varies by restaurant, but if we know we need to close by midnight, we will probably do last orders for drinks at the bar as well, 11:30. Same thing, people coming in for the last reservations, we'll let them know the kitchen is closing, so we'll need to take the order as soon as possible. If we move somebody to have a drink at the very end, we'll let them know, just to let you know we are closing soon, so we'll be taking a last call soon.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks for that. That's helpful to know.
Amanda?
Thank you, Chair. I've just got one final question. I know that the delivery policy is not yet agreed. Is there a condition to say that the policy will be agreed with the licensing authority, or do you have any issue with that? A condition like that being added, so that we know that it will be finalised in due course, sort of thing?
Look, I mean, I think the problem is what happens if the local authority don't agree the policy.
Yes, but normally, if a policy is still pending, or it's not going to exactly be finalised in a short time, would it not be helpful, or are you saying it's not helpful to have that?
What I would suggest is that we have a condition that requires us to have a delivery policy and keep a copy of the policy at the premises.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Is there already is that condition already on, Mr. Elford, or not? Or we need to add it?
I need to double check.
So I'm just trying to raise it with you now, so that you don't make an issue at a later date that we've raised this. Because I appreciate you're not going to be able to do anything immediately about it. But...
Yeah, I didn't notice a condition like that in there, but
okay, that's why I'm just checking with Mr. Elford to make sure he's happy.
No, I mean, I can give you the wording that I'm happy with.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let's go with that then.
Do you want it now?
Yeah, well, whatever, either way, either now or after, I don't mind.
The premises license holder
Yeah.
shall devise, comma, implement, comma.
Hold on, just 1 minute. Bear with me.
Where are you up to?
The premises license holder. Sorry, I just need to switch off my thing because there's a bit of noise in my area. Sorry. So just continue. Thank you.
The premises license holder shall devise, implement, and maintain a delivery policy for the premises. A copy of the policy shall be kept at the premises and made available to responsible authority officers on request.
Thank you.
yep. And Channing, the number of smokers, because it refers to smokers at 29, page 30, but there's no number on there. Can you just tell
I
us?
understand that was agreed with the noise pollution team to be a maximum of 6 persons after 10 p.m.
So does that mean we need to amend condition 29 then? Premises license holder should ensure that any patron smoking outside the premises do so in an orderly manner, etc. Do we have to add in the numbers there? Yeah, Channing?
I'm not sure what document you're looking at, Chair.
I think
Look-
it's our
looking at-
original
Looking at
condition.
page 8.1 of the
Or
Page-
the,
page 30, essentially. So I think some of the conditions that you offered up, Mr. Elford, in that other document have been incorporated into these, the ones at 8.1. Is that right? I think that's correct, isn't it?
So the conditions at 8 point. So the conditions later on in the document with the JGP in the top right
Yeah,
hand
yeah.
corner were the ones that were submitted with the application.
Yeah.
The conditions at pages. Let me just have a quick look.
Paragraph 8.1 onwards, yeah.
28 onwards
Yeah,
are
yeah.
the set of conditions as they are today,
Yeah.
and 37 is the condition that says 6 people at one time from 2200 hours. That's already in there. So we just ask you to endorse that condition.
Yep, got it. Fantastic. 37. Just wanted to make sure that was in there, so that's good. Okay, so look, I think, sorry, Midnight, you've got another question.
Yeah, sorry, just the last one from me before we end this discussion. Just going back to the discussion we had earlier about the courtyard, the outside area, just to clarify, am I correct in saying that you wasn't happy to provide drinks in closed containers outside? Is that something you weren't happy to do, or?
Why would we provide drinks in closed containers to customers sitting having dinner?
But I was just checking I just wanted to confirm that that's something you wasn't happy to do. You wanted to keep them in open kind of glass containers. Is that right?
They need to be, otherwise you have to cover every single glass of wine, every single bottle of beer that people would be drinking at tables with their meal.
Okay, just wanted to confirm.
Yes.
Channing, I noticed you had your hand up.
no, Chair, I was just going to say with regards to the external area, the way the condition is worded with Part A and a Part B, it does make sense that the premises can facilitate the off sales with no problem, Chair. It's
Okay.
not of contention for us.
Okay, great. That's brilliant. Fantastic. Okay. So in essence, you just want to keep the off sales going ultimately in the outdoor space. It just gives you consistency across the sort of the space, if you like. You've got the premises and then you've got the courtyard, but basically having the off sales go on to midnight on Friday and Saturday allows consistency across the venture, if you like, Mr. Elford, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what you'd like to achieve. Okay, so I think we can go to closing remarks. So Mr. Elford, closing remarks, please.
I'm going to keep this very brief, councillors. Thank you very much for listening and for your insightful questions. This is a very experienced operator that operates in cumulative impact areas. Apologies if the application was not clear and not to your liking, but I hope we've bottomed out all the things that were of concern to you. We do endorse the application. We ask you to grant it with the little tweaks that we've made this evening, and we hope that is acceptable to you. As I said at the closure of my submissions, there is no good reason not to consider this operator exceptional to your policy, and I invite you to grant the application, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elford. And Channing, if you want to come back with any points that you've got.
Thank you, Chair. There's nothing really further from the licensing authority. We're satisfied with most of the agreement that's been made or suggested. It was only very minor points that we looked to resolve, and it was at the discretion of the committee, given this in the SPA, but nothing further from us, Chair.
Yep, thank you very much for that. And then any points of final clarification from members? No? Everyone's sort of happy. Yeah, Mr. Elford, I'd like to just apologise to a certain extent on the sort of bittiness of this particular application. It was a little bit bitty, and we were just trying to get on top of what everything meant. And there was some anomalies with the courtyard and the kind of private space, and it wasn't part of the premises license. So there are a few little things that we were concerned about. So I apologise that we put you under a little bit of stress there. But I think you did very.
I think you were giving me too much. I think you were assuming I'm too clever than I in fact am. I thought the application was very straightforward in terms of what we wanted to do and where we wanted to do it. And I apologise. In future, where I can, I will just draw the red line around the outside area as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think having that proper map that you exhibited during the hearing was very useful, because we didn't get that in the pack, you see. So it just sort of, I suppose, it raised alarm bells a little bit. But we obviously have to be mindful of our, of keeping our public safe, and having premises that run smoothly, etc. And our conditions and all the rest of it. We have to just get on top of all of that. So
that's fine. So we unfortunately had to scan plans in, and when you scan things, they lose some resolution, and it seems as though a decent amount of resolution was either lost here or even cut off. So I do apologise.
Yeah. But I think we've got there in the end. So that's great. I think the licensing objectives. You put together a good package there to reassure us about any negative impact on those. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
There's no more business, so I think we can call the meeting to a close. So thank you very much, everyone, for contributing what you did this evening, and we will go off and deliberate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, councillors. Thank you, officers.
Thank you, Mr. Alford.